Reverend Dinas Lemoschini makes shocking accusations against the church and calls the pastors and priests perverted for distorting the scriptures and to denigrate the image of the Apostle Paul, where it is written in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 to 20, where it talks about sodomy, saying that Paul is talking about anal sex, when in fact, the Apostle Paul is concerned with the sadistic Jewish pastors who treated their wives with violence, both physical and psychological, misusing the scriptures, forcing them to have sex against their will. And this God condemns because it is rape. And Paul is saying that rapists will not enter the kingdoms of heaven. If man wants to follow biblical teachings, that it should follow to the letter. But we know that the scriptures were for the children of the promise, who they were striving to dwell in the heavenly mansions, being the children of Abraham who received God's promise. We, the world, were left out of this promise. We remember that we are the darkness, and God made a separation between the darkness and the light. Abraham's children had a promise, and Christ Jesus promised them to go prepare a place only for them and not for us, just as Moses did with the Israelites and left the Egyptians behind. And so we understand that if Paul's teachings were for us, Moses had returned to save the Egyptians as well. But the salvation was solely for the children of Abraham. Let's follow the scriptures, but aware that it is not for salvation, but to live with prudence and respect for others. The barrier that God placed to limit the approach of the Israelite people with the people of darkness was so immense that the Israelites, or the peoples of the world, they had never heard of Abraham's children. That barrier was a wall called Esau. All the countries that had contacts with Israel were part of Esau's family. It was the generation of the older brother from Jacob with the mission to limit God's chosen ones, the generation that God loved, for Moses made that very clear. Today, this world mocks the serious things of God, wanting to make themselves out to be children of God, as were the Jews and Israelites. That's nothing to have a minimum of respect for God's nature. They speak of many who tear up the Bible, spit and pee on it. They are mocking God, but they don't know that they do worse than these people, imitating the children of the promise, and worse yet, lying to everyone, making false promises of salvation, and thereby making money using the Bible. This is much worse than they have ever seen, and this will certainly bring consequences for their lives. Follow the channel, like and share.